Hello again, welcome. It is me, Kyra Book, and I'm here again to talk about Final Fantasy XIV, specifically Shadowbringers 5.0 and most of 5.1. Um, I'm almost done with the expansion, really excited. I'm still stalling. I'm trying to do some other stuff before I continue into the patches, but you know how it is. So, there's a lot I want to go over today. To start off with, I wanted to look back at some of my reactions that I typed up on Discord as I was playing the game. I didn't post too many because my friend is still not caught up with me, so I had to spoiler tag a lot of things and didn't want to spam the channel, make her feel bad. So let's just do a quick little glance over some of the things I was saying at the time for fun. So I started off talking about Amarat. Of course, it looks like freaking Rapture from Bioshock. It was very pretty. Oh my gosh, the music was bopping. It was really cool. I like it. Yeah, I didn't even realize how huge it was until I got onto the ground floor. And it was towered over by an Amarat teen. I think that's what they're called. Also, as a testament to how much dread I was feeling, I typed, I really do feel like I'm marching to my death, and they're all next to me on my deathbed, even Ardbert. And it's true. I know that the warrior light can't really die, but it was just so heavy, and I felt like they were looking at me with my back turned every 5 seconds, making sure I was still walking. That's what it felt like. But also, I don't know, I liked having them all next to me like that. Like, they were there to catch me when I fell. Like, you truly feel how much the Science love you and care about you at that point. I also quickly jabbed that, okay, so I'm a baby, because all the Amaratines were saying, calling me a child, which is interesting. In their view, I would be a child, so what, they're probably thousands of years old. That's really interesting to think about. How short people are just babies, and normally that they would grow up to be big and tall, but uh, because of the whole sundering, we never really reached the proper age. It's like we're all dying prematurely. Interesting. Then I started doing blue quests, and this person was like, well, your outfit is cool and all, but how dare you? And I was just like, well, okay. I worked hard on this outfit. And then I was still gushing over the Scions and how they were, I don't know, caring. Like, it was clear that they'd do anything for us. And I was taking so many screenshots. Oh my gosh, I took at least 500 screenshots the night that I finished um, Shadowbringers. Oh my gosh, and then the Amarat dungeon, I went in with a trust, but I just don't know. With the final boss, I kept getting lasered no matter what I did. I think I died like 5 times, and I'm like, I gotta take real people, because I was so close one time, like 8% or something, but I got lasered, and when you're in a trust, you have to start all the way over if you die. So I was just like, okay, I did most of the dungeon by myself, literally. I'm just gonna get some of my FC mates to come and help me, which they did. Although it made me realize I shouldn't have started dungeon so late, because there was a trial right afterwards, and that was even longer. So it was like 3 o'clock in the morning by the time I finished, and I was tired, but I did it. And then, I posted a screenshot of my epicness in the morning when I woke up again. And then after I finished the cutscenes, the credit sequence, Alphino passing out and Urianger missing, I went and finally got to watch some other people's reactions while I was working on the side. And then someone pointed out how Urianger was face down in the water on the beach with them, and I didn't even notice when I was playing. And that morning, I'm so glad I worked from home, because I was cackling. I was just like, wow, Urianger, poor guy. So yeah, that was an overview of my experience play by play, but not really. I do think maybe I'll record me playing the rest of the patches. But I kind of have ADHD, so I play for like 10 minutes and I get up and do something for 5 minutes and I play for 10 minutes and get up and do. So I'm kind of inconsistent and that'll be a lot of editing down. But hey, why not? I think I'll do it just for fun. So before we get into the meat and potatoes, I just wanted to really look at um, my predictions that I had before I completed Shadowbringers. There weren't a lot, but I just wanted to look at them really quick and see what was real and false. Ardbert, Ardbert, my soul brother. I was right. He was one of my reflections. Whoever I was before the Sundering. We are one and the same. I can only see him because he is a piece of me. And I thought that was really cool. Like, I'm sad that he's. I don't know if he's actually gone or not. I don't know. It's suspicious. But it was so cool how he stayed by our side to the very end. It made me wonder when he realized that he was a reflection and when he decided he would rejoin with me to save us. Um, but man, what a good guy that Warrior of Light is. I am so sad what happened to him and his friends and his world, but I'm glad that it seems in the end he has a little bit of peace and he can be proud of um, all of them trying to save his world, you know, because it was what happened with that is really tragic. Like whenever I think about him and his friends, especially the Black Mage, his name is escaping me for some reason, but that story was just really sad. I love all of them. I still plan to do all the class stories. I've only done for physical DPS and magical DPS, uh, but I'm working on the healer, and it's gonna take me a while. But I'm also trying to do tank. I'm leveling up my gunbreaker. It's at 68 right now, so in 3 more levels, I can start doing that one, and then I can level it with the trust dungeons. And Graha. If you watched my last video, you know that I was already spoiled on who the Crystal Exarch was, because, you know, I don't know. I have a Twitter friend who's really into Final Fantasy, so she would, like a year ago or maybe 2 years ago, everyone was posting about him, so it was impossible not to know. But I did like how it still had you, even though I knew the truth, it's really cool how the plot had you second guessing. Like when you look back, it's so knowing who he is so obvious that it's him, and he clearly sometimes slips up, but they really played it well, trying to keep him mysterious. I still don't know how his story is gonna play out. He still has a whole bunch of death flags written all over him, but I think it's pretty much confirmed at the start of, or is it the very end of 5.0 or very beginning of 5.1, that his other self or his past self is still sleeping in the Crystal Tower in our world. So there's that. I just don't know what's going to happen to the current him. And it's really mysterious that he's still here, even though his calamity was averted. I don't think it works like that. I think the calamity is not completely averted yet, and that he actually will disappear when we have averted it properly. I don't know. Something is not right, in my opinion. I didn't know last week. I didn't know what was going to happen to my character, given, you know, absorbing the light and marching to her death. I sort of assumed that Ardbert would help us out and absorb the light, but or combine with us to, uh, handle the light, and that did pretty much end up being true. We rejoined, and by doing that, our soul was repaired enough, long enough to contain the light for a little longer and defeat Emmett with it, and then use it all up, and we were saved. And the funniest part of my prediction last time was I thought the twinning was going to come back as a main story dungeon or something. And I didn't know how or why the Crystal Tower was going to become a mob den again. But turns out it's still a mob den. It's just all in the basement. And it has nothing to do with the main story. So there's that. That's funny. Okay, so now that we've talked about the last video and my general thoughts on the ending of Shadowbringers, which was awesome, I wanted to start talking about more of the plot stuff. Like I said, or I don't know if I actually said this, I wrote a script this time, but I'm not going to read it word for word because I'm very bad at reading while talking. So this is more like a checklist for me to kind of go over. It's not going to be in any particular order. So if you just like hearing someone ramble about nothing for a couple of minutes, then feel free to listen. So, quickly to start off with, I wanted to think about Hitler Deus. Um, so I already talked about how me and Arbor we're the same soul. He's like my soul brother. We rejoined to become one so we could defeat Emmett. And that had me thinking about Hitler Deus, who we meet in Almarad. Um, they said they could see, or at least see a hint of a soul next to us, and they knew we were the same soul because of the color. But it had me thinking only only I could see Ardbert, and even Hythlodaeus said that. So doesn't it stand to reason only you can see your own reflection? And if Hythlodaeus could see it, does that mean that that is who we originally were? That's where my thought process is on that. I guess that's a prediction. But if they could see a hint of our soul, or a hint of Ardbert's soul, doesn't that mean, you know, that they are also one of us? Related to the whole Hythlodaeus thing, had me thinking about Emmett's speech nearing the end, how that there's always a hero and there's always someone trying to stop him and trying to stop them and getting in the way of reviving all their brethren. So surely, I mean, obviously there's someone in the original time period that went against him and summoned Hydaelyn and destroyed everything. And it had me thinking, was that Hythlodaeus? Because he did say, I mean, Hythlodaeus said that him and Emmett were close friends once. And it had me thinking about how there was 14 leaders and then there was 13. I don't know, maybe, I mean, it might not be Hythlodaeus, it might be someone else. But yeah, that had me thinking um, that we literally are reborn in the same way Menphilia is, over and over again, getting in his way, over and over and over again, the same exact soul, and yet he can't hate us completely. It's really interesting. Here's another thought. Um, I wondered if Emmett was actually trying to help us in a roundabout way. Like, obviously, he couldn't completely help us. He's tempered by Zodiac, right? So, at the end of the day, he's going to do what Zodiac desires. But there's just so many things nearing the end that had me wondering. Like, when he invited us to come to him, when the light became too much, to go crazy in privacy. Like, I'm sure, I don't know, the way he said it, it just seemed, usually he's so nonchalant and jokey and that kind of thing, but it seemed genuine. Like he was really gonna sit next to us and pat our shoulders like we were throwing up light in the toilet. Like, it's okay, I'm here for you. And then, when we got there, we're fighting against him when all the Scions were trying to rush him and trying to help me. How he didn't actually kill any of them. I mean, because they could have made it seem like he was actually taking them out, like, for real, for real. But they all just fainted multiple times, like, no lasting injuries, like they seemed totally fine. Like he didn't actually try to hurt them for real. Isn't that just? But he couldn't have known about Ardbert going to fix our soul. It's just strange, isn't it? And then using all of his strength against us, as Yustola said, his darkness against our light, which used it all up, which in turn saved our souls, saved our soul. Isn't that's just? I mean, maybe he was just unintentionally helping us, but it just lines up so perfectly, and I just wonder if he did it on purpose or by accident. Um, yeah, and there's just something about the way the final fight against him when the Scions put the white aura sight into him and he was yelling in pain. Like, oh my gosh, that makes me feel so bad. It's like hearing Tesleen screaming in pain all over again. It's just like, oh my gosh, we're hurting him. Oh my gosh, and then And when his final wish is just for us to remember him and he smiles, that got me in my feels. I really feel for Emmett. I feel bad for him and his people. It was horrible seeing what happened to them. That said, he is still, what he was doing was wrong and he had to be stopped, but I really do feel for him. I wonder what he was like before he was tempered by Zodiark and whose side he would have taken. Speaking of Emmett, I'm confused by the Tempest or Amarat. He created it with his power, right? He recreated the ruins of Amarat and filled it with ghostly apparitions of his people, but it's still there after his death, and there even seems to be an optional dungeon there where they're actually creating and releasing terrible creatures out into the Tempest. I haven't done that optional dungeon yet, but shouldn't that place have disappeared when he disappeared? Does that mean he's still alive, or is this just a game mechanic? Like they couldn't actually destroy a whole area at the end of the game. We're just supposed to suspend our disbelief that is gone. Is that what it is? Cause what? And another point, I noticed this. They can't hide it from me. They completely skipped over what the calamity is that originally destroyed the world. Like we saw it and we experienced it, but they did not explain what it was. Cause not even Emmett and his people knew what it was. All they summoned Zodiark to stop it, but they never seemed to figure out the cause, right? So I think that is gonna come back somehow. Uh, but I guess that depends on what the calamity is, because it seems like the calamity that destroyed them all somehow was able to take their creation magics and create all these horrible monsters and stuff, right? But as they explicitly stated, we at least, or we don't have creation magic. So even if they, well, I guess, okay, we technically do, but we don't have the power to manifest stuff on our own. Like it comes from the earth, not earth. It comes from the world and crystals. That's how we use creation magic to create primals, for example. But we ourselves aren't like the Amaratines who can just manifest whatever they want into reality with their own ether, because they had 14 times the amount that we do. So in that case, I don't know how the same calamity would happen again. It would just be a weaker version of their calamity, right? And we've suffered 7 calamities so far. So I don't know, interesting. I think it's gonna come back. It's too bad we don't have someone like Emmett to help us, but he would just try to summon Zodiark to help us, so that wouldn't work. And I just wonder how Zodiark stopped it in the first place. Like, could Heidelin have stopped it? Like, what is causing the calamity? They said it was like a sickness of the earth. And I was looking around in the final dungeon, and it seemed like there was like this purple cloud floating above the earth. And the fireballs seem to have come out of nowhere. They're just manifesting right outside the globe. Interesting. Here on my script, I wrote down a couple of theories, like what if it's a situation of too much activity, like when they explain the umbral and astral thing, like light is stasis and darkness is growth, and etc., etc. Like, obviously too much stasis is terrible. We saw what happened. The whole world gets wiped clean and the people turn into light demons. But what about too much what's the word, too much creation? Like, what if you create too much over a long period of time, and then like the world overexerts itself and starts spewing it out like crazy? Like, what's an example? Like, say if you're exercising too much and you overuse one of your knees or something. I mean, eventually it's gonna break down. It doesn't matter if it's good exercise. If you overuse a muscle or a joint, it's gonna damage it. You know. In some cases, I think that's how you get bone spurs. Like literally, your body will start creating unnecessary items in your body because you overuse something. I don't know, something like that. It also makes me wonder how this calamity hasn't started again. Like, there's been maybe originally when the 14 shards were split off from the source, there wasn't enough. Um, uh, Actually, that has me questioning because Master Matoya, she has this crystal eye, right? That is so dense with ether that you wouldn't be able to find in their current 7 times rejoined world because the ether is not that dense anymore. But isn't that opposite of what Emmett and them are implying that by rejoining the worlds is restoring it back to its original state? Hmm. It seems more like it's weakening it, doesn't it? So those are most of my thoughts on 5.0 at least. So we can move on to 5.1, which at this point I have not completed the final quest. So it looks like the next threat is going to be our stalker Xenos and whatever Elidibus is trying to do. I don't know. Xenos is gonna be the big threat, but is he really that big of a threat? Like, I know he is. I guess he's gonna become a big threat by seeking out Zodiark. That's what it seemed like he wanted. He said we were going to suckle on their energy or whatever he said, um, and become more powerful that so they could fight again. Which I did not want to do. No, thank you. But he's gonna do it, so I guess we have to stop him. Ugh, I don't know how that's gonna turn out. Is he big enough for a whole expansion though? I don't know. Maybe it's something Elidibus is gonna do. I don't know. I wish Elidibus would actually help us instead of being a jerk. Like, can't he see? Well, I guess he's tempered, so there's nothing he can do about it. Even if he knows what he's doing is wrong, he's probably still gonna do it because he's tempered. That's sad. What if I know that, so they brought up the 13th a couple of times. Or is it the 14th? But what? Yeah, no, 13th. The 13th shard, the one that became the void. I wonder if they're gonna cover that because it hasn't been rejoined, right? It's just a useless void sitting somewhere. Like, what's up with that? Are they gonna touch on that? Can we fix it? Like we're sort of fixing the first? Many questions on that one. Kind of concerned about it. Also has me comparing the first and the first and the void. Like, so the void was their mistake because they accidentally made it too much darkness, so it became the void. But isn't that the same problem with the first? Like, they are making it too much light, so it's gonna become a useless void of the light. Or maybe they had a different plan. I don't know. It just seems like they're doing the opposite thing, and we had the opposite problem: a useless void of the first and a useless void of the 13th. Would be interesting if they smacked those two worlds together though, and then they combined and fixed each other. But that would also cause too much death, at least for the people in the first, because I'm pretty sure all the people in the 13th are long gone, turned into monsters and beasts. Another note that I had written down was about specifically the Crystal Tower raids and Nero. I remember when Nero got sucked in the void with the twin clones, that he had gotten injured or something, and they said that darkness had began seeping into him and corrupting him. Is that what was happening to the people in the first when light, got into them and started changing them? But something fixed Nero before he escaped back out to the first. I think it was the twins somehow managed to revert him back to his original state. I guess it could be similar. That means there is hope for the people of the first who were infected by light. Okay, so those are all my plot thoughts so far in Shadowbringers 5.0 and most of 5.1. I figured I'll go over the characters real quick. Hopefully this part won't take too long. But yes, I want to finish off with characters and see where we go from there. Let's start with Emmett. The guy I want to hate but can't completely hate. It's just, he's so odd. You know, obviously his goals were bad. He already has and was planning to kill millions and millions and millions of living, breathing people for a dream that I don't think could have even come true. We've seen what happens when you try to use a primal's life, a primal's power to revive the dead. They don't actually come back to life. They're husks, useless husks. I mean, not useless. That's rude to say, but they're lifeless husks. Like, they can't interact with you. They're not alive. Like, surely Emmett must know this. Well, I mean, even if he does know it, like I said before, it doesn't matter. He's tempered. He would do it anyways. Even if his dream was not real. It was a sacrifice for nothing that he wanted to do. But I still feel bad for what him and his people had to do to save the world. Like, sacrificing themselves twice over just so that the world could live on. But, I mean, I think the people who summoned Heidelin, even though summoning Heidelin was probably a last-ditch effort, even still, they were kind of true. You can't just take back all the life that you've breathed into this world. It's not, the world doesn't belong to anyone specific, you know? It's the people who live there, who are born there, who are of that world. So you can't just throw their lives away because you want to save someone else. Like, once a life is here, you can't take it back in this setting. And you know, something really cool, like one of the first things I noticed about him was how much he slouches. Like, he slouches like me, yay! That's not a good thing. Anyways, I noticed how much he slouches, like, seriously, bad posture, and they kind of brought it up, how much he's decided to carry on his shoulders, and how much weight that has put on him over a millennia. And then in his dying scene, he's no longer slouching. It's just like, that is so cool. I really like little details like that. Like, I might be reading too much into it, but even if I am, I think that is awesome. The final fight against him was epic. Still really sad, like I said before. Hearing him cry out in pain like that, it made my heart ache. Like, I gotta do what I gotta do, but man, it sucks hearing you scream. Yeah, there's just, oh my gosh, okay, yeah. But it really must have been painful for him to try to live life, and you see all your friends and family in this form. Like, they don't remember you, they don't remember the world before, they don't remember anything. They're just, to you, they seem like empty husks or whatever, because they aren't how you remember them. But I guess the problem is he just couldn't see value in a different kind of life than what he used to live. He was too attached to the past, and in the end that caused him undue suffering. But I don't even think that was his fault. Like, how much of that was tempering, you know? But yeah, even though he's unforgivable, I hope he's resting in peace. If he's resting in peace, I don't know if he's truly dead. Like, that was a really good death scene, a really good send-off. Made me sad, but also resolved. But there does feel like there's so much left unsaid between him and me and everyone else. But that's how life is, you know. Sometimes life is cut short. He died with many secrets. Maybe what's his face, Elidibus, will tell us. The Scions, I love them. I love each and every one of them. They are my family. They stood by me no matter what. They kept me when I fell. I just, like, hearing how defeated and banged up they were when they carried me back to the Crystarium. Like how I would have, I mean, I would have wanted to see how distraught they were. I don't remember why, but I think I was doing some questing or some gathering, and I went back to the what are their names again? Not the children; those are the bad guys. The blessed. I went to the blessed's village and spoke to Runar, and he was like, "Oh, I'm so glad to see um, that you're alive and you're awake." Yustola came here and she was so distraught and defeated. I've never seen her like that before, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that makes me want to cry. um, I love all of them. They are precious, strong, intelligent, beautiful, handsome, powerful. They are everything to me. I wanted to also talk about something I talked about for a bit last video, specifically about Urianger. Urianger. So my feelings haven't changed at all. Like I said last video that I love Urianger, but I was just so distraught by his secrecy on things, and I wish he would just tell me stuff. And I do still believe that, but I also wanted to make it clear I understand his position. Uh, if he had told us, we would have tried to stop Graha and him from their plans, which is true. Probably would have. We wouldn't have saved anyone, and it would have just delayed their inevitability of the situation further. Um, but I just want to make clear, I do trust them, even though I don't like all the secrecy. Sometimes you gotta tell a little not a big white lie to get things done. And seeing, like, when he right before he went into the final dungeon at Amarat, and how he was like, you know, you're amazing, and I will stick to you to the very end, and I'm gonna make sure you stay alive just like Graha wanted. And then he did a polite bow to me. I was just like, man, Urianger, I love you so much, and I do get what you did, and I'm not mad at you or anything. Just I was just frustrated, and I love you, Urianger. Okay, you're a good guy. And of course, Yustola, my black mage sister in arms. She's awesome. Um, she and Urianger are similar to me, except she'll just tell you straight up, and Urianger will keep it to himself. But I just appreciate her honesty and openness, and her trying to get to the bottom of things, and in her own way, trying to keep everyone honest with each other. Like I was like, woo, when she and Thankred had seen each other for the first time in a while. She immediately was like, "You better get your act together." I really appreciate that. That's what she is for us. She keeps everyone honest with each other. Like the way she's been teasing Graha and Alize over their crush over the Warrior of Light is so funny. She's awesome. I love her. Alize, as always, amazing, badass little sister. Uh, all always trying to improve and protect the people she loves. Like, I'm so glad that the Warrior of Light is okay and she didn't feel like she failed us again, because that was becoming a running theme for her, and I was just so worried how hard she would take it if someone else she cared about died yet again. Like, she would never want to get close to anyone ever. Alphino, he has changed so much. He is such a good boy. I love him. um, Especially in 5.1. I don't know. I hope that the Chais adopt him and Alize. I don't know. He seems really attached to them, to be honest. It made me wonder about his own parents. Like, I think Alize mentioned their dad once, and I don't think Alphino has ever mentioned his dad. They only talk about their grandpa. Which makes me think maybe they don't have a good relationship with their parents, which is sad. But anyways, Alphino, good boy. He's grown up so much, and he does his best. Good boy. I love him. Thankred, Dad Cred, the one that's always playing it cool. I don't always know what he's thinking, but his final statements about how he'd always have our back, I really felt that, and I knew it was true. It doesn't matter. He'll always show up on the scene with his cool ninja moves to defend us, because that's just who he is. Um, yeah, he's a good man. I love Tancred. Reen. It took me a while to get used to her new name, but she is adorable. I'm so glad that she's finally finding her own path because she has a lot of insecurities and um, what's the word, inferiority complex. But I hope that with time, the scions are will give her the confidence to be herself and stand up for herself and be confident. I did start the raid series with her and Thancred and Urianger, but I haven't actually done the first one yet. So we'll see about that. I am a little concerned because she already hinted at it, but she is of the first. So when everyone goes back to the source, she can't come with us. But I mean, I should still be able to talk with her, right? Because I can go back and forth whenever I want to. So hopefully everyone can still stay in touch and all that. Yeah. Tatara and Kryle still doing their best to protect the bodies of the Scions. I think they should move the Scions somewhere else because don't the Imperials and Elizabeth know where the Rising Stones is? They need to move their bodies somewhere more hidden, like Matoya's cave, please. I don't want anything to happen to them. Graha. Graha, Graha, Graha. What a sweet man. I'm so mad at myself because I already knew who he was. And I already knew that everyone loved him. And I'm like, well, everybody loves this character. You know, I think he's cool, but I'm not going to be one of those fangirls. And I think I might be, and I just don't know how to feel about that. Because he is so nice. So sweet. Ugh. I don't know. I did have this headcanon that the reason why he admires her so much because he said he looks up to all of he looked up to all the heroes and wanted to be a hero one day himself, but kind of forgot that dream because he didn't think he could do it. But then when he saw us, he decided, you know, maybe I could and I should actually try to be a hero. He decided that because he knows we were like 2 inches shorter than him, so he's like, oh, short people can also be heroes. Okay, see, it all makes sense. There we go. On a more serious note, um, good man doing everything he can to help. Uh, Still has death flags written all over him, and I don't know. We have a lot of moments where we meet eyes, and I just don't know what to think about that. I feel like I'm a third wheel in the Warrior of Lights and Graha's life. um, but anyways, I think that wraps it up for today. Um, thank you for listening. I'll be back again when I finish. I mean, I guess maybe I'll do my next video when I finish all the patches and wrap Shadowbringers all the way up. I don't know when that'll be, but I'll keep writing my thoughts in Discord so I know what I'm thinking at the time. And I hope everyone has a good day. See ya!